My name is Professor Adam Winstock. I'm a consultant psychiatrist and addiction medicine specialist and also founder of the Global Drug Survey. One of the first things that people think about doing if they want to drink less is perhaps going to see their doctor to get a checkup. And it also might be that actually going to see a doctor for some other health reason might be the first time that you actually get asked questions about your drinking. So in this short segment, I want to tell you what's involved from a medical perspective when someone turns up and you get your alcohol consumption assessed and what other investigations they might do. So the first thing to say is you got to be honest. If you start telling doctors things that aren't true about how much you drink and how often, then any advice and feedback they give you ain't going to be useful. So this is your health, your well-being. Tell them the truth. What you tell doctors is confidential, and doctors are pretty good in using that information for the right reason. So the first thing I'd hope your doctor would end up or start up saying would be, how often do you drink alcohol? How many days a week? Then they should be asking you, on a typical day that you drink, how much do you drink? They will probably want to know, what sort of alcohol do you drink? Beer, wine, spirits. If it's beer, they should be asking you about the percentage alcohol in a beer. You know, a can of normal strength beer might have 1.5 standard units in. A can of 9% beer might have 4. There's a difference. And if you talk about maybe drinking spirits, we all know that the spirits you pour at home are kind of 2 or 3 times the size of a normal shot. So as accurately as possible, let people know actually how much you're drinking. You might want to tell people whether you've got mixers, whether or not you vary the amount of alcohol you drink during the week. It would be really helpful to tell a doctor about what's the maximum amount you might drink in a week. You know, if you're someone who goes out on a Friday night and gets drunk, be honest about how much you're actually drinking. What they might also ask is whether or not you have any alcohol-free days. And one of the really important things to follow up about that is, what are those days like? If you're someone who has 2 or 3 days off drinking a week and you go, actually, I feel fine on those days, in fact, I feel better and brighter, that's really important. If you're someone who says, actually, I don't ever have a day without drinking, then the question is, why not? And in fact, are you able to have a day without drinking? And I'm going to talk about alcohol withdrawal in a couple of videos' time. What the doctor should also then be asking you about is, what are you doing when you're drinking? Are you using any other drugs? Are you driving? Are you responsible for other people, like your children? Or are you having to work the next day? Are other people being placed at risk because of your drinking? Are you getting into fights? Have you been done for driving under the influence? Once they've got a good idea of actually how much you're drinking and how long you've been drinking at that level, and also why you're drinking. Are you drinking because of work stresses, because your mates all drink, there's troubles at home? The next thing they want to ask is to get a little bit more information about you. Do you have any medical health conditions that are important that might interact with alcohol? For example, liver disease or heart disease. Do you have a family history of medical problems, such as high blood pressure or alcohol problems, or liver conditions? Some liver conditions, like hemochromatosis, there might be a genetic component. That would be really important for you to disclose. It's really important that you let them know about any medications that you're on. Medications like antidepressants don't work as well if you're drinking, while other medications, things like opiate painkillers, benzodiazepine, sleeping tablets, those things can have additive sedative effects when you combine them with alcohol and can place you at increased risks of accidental injury, harm, and overdose. I think finally, it's worth you then telling the doctor about other things that you're thinking about. Now they're asking you all these questions about drinking. Is it something that someone has said to you? Has there been a time recently where you've been concerned about your performance at work or your performance in bed, that you've thought perhaps this is linked to alcohol? Now, ideally, at the end of all of these assessments, your doctor's going to give you some feedback, maybe let you know if you're drinking too much, too little, what your particular risks might be. But the other thing they might do is suggest that you have some other sorts of investigations. And what I want to do in the next video is tell you, why do doctors ask you to go and get a blood test if you drink too much, and what does that mean?